Kenji Soto had never imagined he would fall so far. Once a promising young man with dreams as sharp as a katana blade, he now sat alone in a cramped apartment with unpaid bills stacked like reminders of failure. The job he loved was gone. His friendships had faded. His confidence had shattered. It felt as if his life had been cut down in battle, and he was the defeated samurai kneeling in the aftermath of a lost war. But the worst part was not the loss itself. It was the silence. The quiet moments where his thoughts attacked him harder than any enemy could. You're worthless. You failed everyone. No one expects you to rise again. Kenji believed those voices for months. He slept during the day, lay awake at night, ate barely enough to keep himself functioning. He had hit rock bottom. Yet one winter evening, while scrolling aimlessly on his phone, he stumbled upon a quote from Miyamoto Musashi. Today you may feel defeated, but tomorrow you raise your sword again. Something inside him trembled. Not hope. Not courage. Just a spark, so small it could have been ignored. But it was enough to make him sit up. That spark became his first step. The first cut, small actions. Kenji knew he couldn't rebuild his life overnight. The samurai didn't master the sword in a day. They practiced thousands of tiny cuts, thousands of silent mornings, thousands of unseen hours. So he started small. On day 1, he simply folded his blanket. On day 2, he cleaned his desk. On day 3, he walked for 10 minutes around the block. Tiny actions. Almost insignificant. But they were the equivalent of a young samurai practicing the first form with the wooden sword, repetitive, simple, foundational. For the first time in months, he felt a shift, like the faint sunrise piercing the fog. The enemy within. But progress came with a price. Every small improvement awakened his internal adversary, the voice that did not want him to grow. Why are you trying? You're too late. You're not strong enough. Kenji fought these whispers like a lone ronin fending off invisible foes. Some days he won. Some days he lost and stayed in bed again, staring at the ceiling, feeling useless. But one night, while watching a documentary about the rise of the shogunate, he heard a line that pierced him. A samurai's greatest battle is not with others, but with himself. He paused the video. He closed his eyes. He let the truth sink in. The fear, the self-doubt, the regret, these were his enemies. And no samurai walked away from battle just because it was difficult. The next morning, he resumed his daily habits. Push-ups, only 5. Journaling, 1 paragraph. Job searching, 20 minutes. Meditation, just 2 minutes. Small actions, but consistent. He wasn't winning yet. But he was showing up. And that alone was victory. The first breakthrough. Weeks passed, and the small routines grew stronger. His room became cleaner. His posture improved. His mind, though scarred, began to quiet. One afternoon, while scrolling through old files, he found certificates from his earlier achievements, things he had forgotten he was capable of. For the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of pride. Not because he was successful, but because he was trying again. He applied for jobs, dozens. He practiced interviews. He learned a new skill online for 20 minutes a day. And one day, he received an email. You have been shortlisted for an interview. It wasn't a job offer, but it was proof that he wasn't invisible. Kenji smiled for the first time in months. The setback that crushed him. But life has its own rhythm: rise, fall, strike, retreat. 3 days before the interview, he got sick, high fever, dizziness, exhaustion. He tried to practice his answers, but his voice cracked. When the interview day came, he showed up weak, unfocused, and nervous. 2 days later, the rejection email arrived. He sat on the floor, head in his hands, breathing heavily. Why does this always happen? Why do I even try? Maybe I'm not meant to rise. The old darkness returned, heavier than before. He didn't leave his room for 2 days. But on the 3rd day, something unexpected happened. While looking for medicine, he found an old wooden practice sword, his grandfather's. His grandfather, a kendo instructor, had given it to him when he was a boy. On the handle were carved the words, "Fall 7 times. Rise 8. Kenji felt something break inside him. Not his strength, but his excuses. He held the wooden sword, closed his eyes, and whispered, "I rise again." The training arc. Inspired, he created a strict but simple routine, his own modern samurai discipline. Wake up at 6:30 a.m. Cold shower. 15 push-ups. 15 minutes meditation. 45 minutes skill building. 1 hour job searching. Daily walk. No matter what. No excuses. Some days it was easy. Some days he dragged himself through it, sweating, shaking, angry. But slowly, the routine began to shape him. His body grew stronger. His mind grew sharper. His self-control increased. He felt like a samurai sharpening his blade every day, little by little. People around him noticed. You look different. You're more focused. You're improving. But the truth was simpler. He had stopped running from life. The unseen victories. During one of his long evening walks, he realized something powerful. He didn't feel like a failure anymore. Not because life was perfect, but because he was proud of how he was fighting. He had gone from barely surviving to actively crafting a new identity. He updated his resume. He improved his portfolio. He reached out to old colleagues. He joined online communities. He practiced answering interview questions until midnight. He was preparing, patiently, consistently, like a samurai waiting for the right moment to strike. The moment of realization. Then came the day that changed everything. He received a call from a company he had applied to weeks earlier. "Can you come for an interview tomorrow?" He went. He spoke with clarity, discipline, and quiet confidence. Not arrogance. Not desperation. Just truth. 2 days later, the phone rang again. "Congratulations, Kenji. We would like to offer you the position." He froze. He felt his knees weaken. Tears welled in his eyes. He had done it. He had risen. Not because someone saved him. Not because luck arrived. But because he refused. Again and again. To stay down. The new path. The job brought stability. His health improved. His relationships healed. He began helping others struggling with depression and self-doubt. And every night, before sleeping, he placed his grandfather's wooden practice sword on his desk, a reminder of the war he had fought and won. He understood now what the ancient samurai lived by. Strength is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay fallen. His life wasn't perfect. But he was no longer the broken man in the dark apartment. He had become his own warrior. His own protector. His own shogun. The final message. Kenji's journey is not just his story. It is the story of everyone who has suffered defeat, loss, and despair. Life will knock you down. It will test your limits. It will push you to the edge. But remember, even the greatest samurai were not born strong. They became strong through discipline, consistency, and the courage to rise each time they fell. You may feel defeated today. You may feel broken. You may feel lost. But this is not your ending. It is your training. Every small step you take, every tiny habit you build, every moment you fight your inner doubts. These are strokes of your sword shaping your future. Keep going. Rise again. Rise always. Because a person who refuses to give up cannot be defeated.